So, what is the problem today? The problem is that the left fears the right fears the left. Most people fear death. Some people fear the Chinese, some people fear the Russians. And then you have battles. Battles between those who fear the Russians more than the Chinese, and the Chinese more than the Russians. Question: what reason is there to fear the Russians? What reason is there to fear the Chinese? Let's compare the two. Let's compare who they are and what their outlook is based on what we know, and then figure out which one to fear more. But is that really the question? Which one do we have to fear more? The whole point is we need to figure out how to not live in fear. No matter how scary our imaginary or real opponents are, they control us to the extent that we fear them. How do you avoid that fear? There's a really cool online preacher. Her name is Bevelyn Beatty. And she said something really profound. She said, y'all are scared because y'all are not saved. And that's the truth. There's a lot of truth to that. If you live in this day and age and look at everything that's happening around you, how can you not be scared? The only way you cannot be scared is if you know that whatever happens, you are saved. Not only that, if you care about those who live with you and around you, if you know that you're saved, you know how they can be saved. Of course, the decision is not yours to make, it's theirs, but you can help them come to that decision. And the freedom of doing that, the freedom of pursuing that right, that avenue of dealing with your fellow man, not to dominate them, not to succumb to them and buckle under them, but to have the freedom to give them the so-called good news of the gospel, for that's what the gospel means. The freedom to do that without any restrictions whatsoever. That is the freedom that's at stake here. That is the freedom that this country has preserved among the nations more than any other. And that is the core of what needs to be defended in this real day-to-day world. In the spiritual world, what is there to be defended? Once you're saved, there's nothing to defend as far as you're concerned. You're saved, you're saved. You can't wrestle yourself back out of the hands of God, with one exception though. And that one exception is if you give up your ability to make decisions for yourself. If you give up your ability to discern, to judge what is true, what is not true, what is right, what is wrong, who is God and who is not God. If you give that up willingly, even though you may be saved, if you succumb to fear and pressure and social pressure and temptations and solicitations, things that people put near to you and say, look, isn't it so much better to live this way? Then you won't have any problems. Then you won't have to worry about standing up to the authorities. Then you won't have to worry about standing up to the masses, to the multitudes, to the majority. If you're willingly succumbing to that temptation and give up your ability to judge, your ability to discern the truth between right and wrong, etc., that's when you can lose your salvation, because that's what the Bible says in Revelation. The ones who accept the so-called mark of the beast, and we'll get to that, what that may be later. The ones who succumb to that, who submit to that,